Hey you guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, like I said before, I wanted to do another sketchbook tour, and this particular sketchbook actually took me about 2 or 3 years to complete, just because I really wasn't practicing every day. I was only drawing when I really felt like it, which, you know, at times it would take me like months to even feel like drawing at all. So this one definitely took the longest out of all the sketchbooks that I have. So real quick, this is just a basic sketchbook. It's 60-pound paper, which I found out, you know, very quickly I didn't really like. It's very thin and very smooth, and as you'll see throughout the sketchbook, my pencil tends to smear a lot, especially over time. I've noticed that just the graphite would shift and move a little bit, just because the pages were rubbing together. So this is the first page, and I wanted to do sort of like a really big, like open, I guess like really big opening for like my new sketchbook. I put like new beginning and like my goals for what I wanted the sketchbook to be. I have a little random doodle that I probably did a few years after like I started the sketchbook, so that's just in the front. And then I have some things from some classmates. Like I said, this was back in high school. So I had some things my friends wrote me, and I put them in here. Just doing random doodles, but not too much to this page. And this is still when I'm very much, the sketchbook is still very much when I'm into anime. You'll see a lot of just anime like influence. This one's kind of huge. I don't know if I can fit it all on the screen, but this sort of like chaos of a doodle, I guess, is just more, I just wanted something to do whenever I was in class. So if I got bored, I would just come to this page and just sort of fill it in with whatever I felt like. I actually did something similar to this in my previous sketchbook tour. You'll see that I did another sort of thing like this where I filled up the page with like random doodles. And I apologize for any background noise you guys hear. I'm filming right next to my window, so hopefully it's not too irritating. But here I was designing the different chess pieces as like costumes. So you have like the rook, which I think is the castle. And I wanted to try to incorporate the shape of the chess piece into the outfit. And yeah, this was like my first time like using color in a sketchbook. I don't normally use color at this time. I'm very much just into just using pencil. I was really scared of color, and I feel like now I've kind of reverted back to that as well. Just not using color as much in my sketchbooks anymore. But here we have the queen, and then the piece is like on the sleeves. It's kind of very like Kingdom Hearts, I guess. At least the color palette, that's what it reminds me of. This is supposed to be Kesha. It was just drawing from a reference. It didn't turn out as great. And again, you'll see me do this thing where I just draw like one thing on a page and move on. Just random anime chick. Not sure what this was, but you know, some sort of sci-fi outfit with tentacles that harvests some sort of liquid or shoots it out. I don't know. More random doodles. Hopefully you guys can see it. Little Fruit Ninja thing. Probably did this when Fruit Ninja was like a big thing still on, you know, mobile games. This design here with this like electric like wiring that I have going on, and then I have these little like, I don't know, blobs. I actually designed this and painted this on some shoes. At the time I was really interested in like crafting and like watching crafting videos and stuff, and I think this is about the time when Pinterest was out there, like Pinterest just started. I found an artist, and I talked about her as well in my previous sketchbook tour, but the artist's name was Bob's Maid, and she basically painted on shoes, and that was like what she did professionally. And so I wanted to try to do that as well, and this was just some sort of design I came up with. I actually painted these on some old Vans that I had. It turned out alright. I'm not sure where those shoes went, otherwise I would show you a picture, but anyway. More random doodle stuff. More doodles. And then this is just me sort of trying to experiment with style. Style is going to be a big theme, I think, with this particular sketchbook. At the time, I was really obsessed with finding my style. I wasn't so much focused on trying to learn how to draw better or, you know, practice or anything like that. I just wanted to find my style. Like, that was a big... I remember that was just like a big issue for me. And so, you know, I kind of obsessed with it, maybe to the point where it was just like, I probably shouldn't have been wasting my time with that and just, you know, actually put the time in to draw and learn like the basics, I guess. But these are all of my friends that I used to hang out with in high school, and every year it sort of became like a tradition where like every year I would like redraw all of us in like a group photo, and you know, you could see how like my style would change, you know, every year, things like that. So that was me just experimenting with sort of, I guess, like a chibi sort of style. This one, I can't remember what art channel this was, but I remember I was really big into watching people who are concept artists, you know, draw and stuff like that. Or there was one concept artist and who said that they normally, like, whenever they're trying to practice or trying to warm up, they'll usually just draw squares and just try to fill them up with, like, doodles or something like that. I vaguely kind of remember this, but anyway, this was sort of a life drawing of headphones from our computer class, some random robot. I don't know if you can tell what these are down here, but they're unicorns. I drew one from memory and it looks like a donkey, and then I drew one from a reference. More random doodles. I think this was a classmate, but it doesn't really look like her. Practicing drawing noses and shading and stuff like that. Drawing random, like, monsters. And I think this was like something for yearbook, because I was in yearbook too, and I was trying to come up with like designs for things. This was clearly inspired by Telephone by Lady Gaga whenever she was, you know, releasing those types of songs, I guess. I will say that these drawings of outfits were actually inspired by Mikenel, who did the... you guys might know him from the little animation Draw With Me. It was really popular back on YouTube when I was in high school. He's done some other animations for like The Amazing World of Gumball, Gravity Falls, and I think Zootopia. So he's pretty well known, but way back on the DeviantArt days, he used to draw the consoles as like these sort of fantasy women, I don't know, warriors, I guess. Like he did the Xbox 360, the PS, what was it, the PS3. And he would draw them as like these sort of sci-fi chicks with weapons and things like that. And that really inspired me to take like an inanimate object and just like try to come up with like a persona for it. But anyway, random doodle, science notes. I remember this specifically. I know this doesn't seem like much, but at the time, I think this is senior year, so the entire like thing that we just went through might have been like my junior year and maybe some of my senior year, but I remember this specifically because my art teacher invited me to go to this thing. I forgot what it's called, but it was like a college thing where basically there were a bunch of colleges at this like hotel. It was sort of like not a conference, but you know, all of these colleges were there to look at your artwork and sketchbooks, and you could get information on different colleges, and sometimes from what my teacher had told me, people would get like accepted like right on the spot based on their artwork. And all I had to show was like this sketchbook and a few pieces back from my freshman and sophomore year of, art class, which weren't really that impressive. I just remember standing in line waiting for, my turn to talk to this person who was representing this college, and I decided to just kind of draw this chair randomly, I guess. The person who I talked to gave me a lot of, tips, and the people that I did talk to, that I did end up talking with from other colleges, they basically said that I should be working more on drawing from life, and I want to say go more towards, not realism, but I think trying to maybe understand the basics a little bit more. Honestly, I really forgot, but I just remember leaving there and feeling kind of like shitty. And that's nothing on them. I mean, they're just being honest, right? I mean, if you're going to accept somebody to your art school, they should probably have a good foundation of like how to draw and everything. And at the time, I just don't really practice as much, and I can see where they're coming from. And I guess, sort of in response to like the critiques that I got at that sketchbook thing, I drew this. I have a drawing mannequin. Don't really like these like wooden model things because they're not very like posable. They're very limited, but I worked with what I had, and I did this. Random scribbles. And here I was trying to work on my figure drawing. Hopefully you can see all of it. You can tell that my lines are very just scribbly. I think I'm probably getting really frustrated. Like I said, I'm learning all of this by myself, and whenever you don't have like an instructor or someone to sort of guide you on what you need to work on, how you should work on things, it's very difficult to come up with a way to learn on your own, because you can kind of bounce around with a lot of things, and even though you may learn like little bits of information here and there, it's kind of, like I said, it's just kind of difficult to do it on your own. But anyway, that's all like figure study stuff. And color theory. I do this a lot where I'm like, I should go back to, learning the basics, and I go like all the way back to color theory. And whoops. I have all the information, the color wheel. This is stuff that, I guess it's a good refresher, but really it's like, I should just be practicing drawing, like just draw more often. Probably don't need to be going through all this quite yet. There's more, figure drawings. More of them here. This kind of goes back to that first drawing with like the rook and the chess pieces being dresses. I took it a step further and tried to make like a weapon for her, which was like a battering ram that looked like the castle. So that's what that was. This was, yeah, see, you can see like how thin the paper is. I did not really like that. You can see the drawing like behind it, but this was supposed to be a sketch of a friend. Didn't finish it. This was a drawing kind of inspired by The Binding of Isaac, at least like the art style with like the eyes and like the way the teeth are. There's just some random blob. This was a self-portrait that I did. I want to say I got inspired by, what was her name? KatSketch on YouTube. If you guys don't know who that is, that name may not sound all too familiar, but she was really good friends with, and she's probably still friends, but I would see her a lot in like Shane Dawson's videos. She was very, very pretty girl, and she would always do artwork out of like different materials. It was never really like just pencil. Like she would draw with pencil, but then she would also add like different objects to it as well. I'll leave a link to her channel if it's still active and everything, but I basically got inspired by her to do this, and I think it turned out okay. This is more yearbook stuff. Random little things here. Again, this goes back to that Mikenel thing. This is like an Xbox like dress type thing. I don't know why I was drawing really like fancy like fashion things. I'm not really into fashion all too much, but I guess because I couldn't really draw like this sort of sci-fi fantasy stuff that Mikenel did, I just kind of stuck with like normal looking dresses. I want to say I did these at the gym in high school. Just when people were, you know, playing basketball and stuff, I was trying to draw them. Let's see. This might have been when, I mean, it says first kiss, and I think this might have been when I started dating my first boyfriend. And I just kind of made this little thing to go along with, you know, everything, I guess. Kind of sappy, but whatever. Also, I don't know if you guys can see it down here, but I put April 1st because that's like when, I guess that's when I drew this or whatever, but I misspelled April and then I got mad and I drew this little thing down here of this guy flipping the table. I think this was like a meme at one point. Oh, these things, let's see. So I tried, you can kind of see here, I drew, you know, this guy right here. I was basically using these as like references, and I don't know if they turned out all too well, especially her. She didn't really come out all too great, but it is what it is. Little pen sketch, more doodles, random things, sketches of chibis, and all that stuff. More random doodles. And here, I actually remember these two when I drew them. So I was still on DeviantArt at the time, and I realized, or I learned that adoptables were like a thing, and I had never heard of these things before. I didn't know that you could like draw a random character and basically sell them off. I thought that was like such an interesting idea. Anyway, I think the teenager in me was just like, this will be a good way to make money. And I drew these two, and I put them, you know, through Sai, and I did them digitally. I like redid them digitally. I tried to like kind of sell them off a little bit, but yeah, no. I mean, nobody really followed me at the time, so I'm not really sure what I was expecting, but you know, they're still, and I think these drawings are actually still on my DeviantArt. But anyway, that was just something I remember. This was around the time that the video game, what was it, Lollipop Chainsaw came out. It was this really weird video game where this cheerleader is part of like this sort of like magical family, and zombies take over the world, and I don't know, it's this whole adventure. But at the time I was watching a lot of video game channels, and I probably had been subscribed to more video game channels back then than I am now. I'm more into like the art, you know, channels nowadays. But anyway, one of the channels that I used to watch was The Creatures. Some of you guys may or may not know who those people are, but The Creatures were a group of guys who played video games, and you know, they had their own separate channels and everything, but they had one single channel called The Creatures, and one of them was actually this guy named Seamus. He doesn't make videos too much anymore, or at all really, but he started playing this game, Lollipop Chainsaw, and I really wanted to play it at the time, but I didn't have, I think it was a PS3, like I didn't have that system. Since he was playing it and he was doing a playthrough of it, I wanted to draw like a fan art thing of him in like the in sort of like the outfit of the main character, but obviously it's, the main character is a girl, but I'm, you know, sort of changing it for Seamus since he's a guy. And I started adding like little inside jokes specifically for Seamus. And I'll throw a picture up of what the finished thing looked like. I was actually really proud of it. It took me forever, but yeah, I'll show you guys, that way you guys can see. And here we're just doing more random doodles. I don't know, I feel like I'm just all over the place with my style and everything. Like there isn't like a single subject as like to what I'm drawing. I mean, I'm kind of all over the place. I think for the most part, I'm more comfortable drawing people, so you see faces and bodies a lot. But, you know, I'm just sort of throwing everything I have at the wall, to be honest. And I do that even more so in like the next couple of sketchbooks that I have. But anyway, these are just, I want to say this came from a book. They gave me these little prompts and I had to draw them from my imagination. It all went pretty well until I had to draw the dog, and then I'm not even sure what this is, but this is supposed to be a dog. think this was supposed to be like a still life I was doing in my room. I want to say at the time of doing like the past few pages, I think I'm already out of high school. And so I'm just sort of working on my own now. Yeah, so now I have just more doodles. Rigby from Regular Show. Working with pen a lot. I think that's something I started doing. I didn't really notice until now, but I think this is something I started doing just trying to get comfortable with making a mark and understanding that I can't erase it. Working with pen actually really helped me a lot, and again, this goes into some of the sketchbooks that I have after this one, just because I started working with pen a lot in some other ones and some other sketchbooks. But anyway, so more doodles. Random doodle, and I was rereading. I had some series of Unfortunate Event books, and I was rereading them. And anytime I like came across a word that I didn't really understand or I didn't really know, I would write it up here and, you know, get the definition and everything. So yeah, there's that. I want to say that this style was inspired by, I'll have to find pictures of these things, but this was the artist who made, and if you guys remember back in high school, if you're, you know, around my age, I'm 26, so if you were, you know, in high school in like the 2008 to 2012, you'll remember that there were these little blobs. They were yellow and blue, and like all of like the emo kids, you know, quote unquote, all of like the emo kids and like the rocker kids, you know, really like these characters. But I ended up finding the original artist who created those little characters, and I found that he had another sort of style when it came to drawing people, and I really liked it a lot, so I tried to sort of emulate it a little bit, but I don't think it really helped, or I don't think it really, you know, did anything. Random doodles again. Doodles. Here I'm drawing like necklaces and things. Like I said before, I was really into crafting, and I was subscribed to a few crafting channels. A lot of channels that worked with like polymer clay and like did jewelry and stuff. A lot of DIY stuff as well. And I was trying to come up with like ideas of like things that I could make. Here I was coming up with outfits that I wanted to potentially maybe make for myself. I actually did making pants that look like this. I took some thrift store pants, dyed them black, and I painted on like a galaxy print on it. And I'll put a picture up of that too. I actually have a picture of me wearing them. That way you guys can see them. But I did that. For whatever reason, I did something like Batman related, even though I don't really like Batman. This is actually, this is Ashley Rickards. I give her huge eyes. That's like the first thing that I can see. But anyway, she was the star of this TV show, oh my god, Awkward, on MTV. If any of you guys have watched that show, it's amazing. It's funny. My mom and I used to watch that show a ton. Yeah, I just wanted to draw her, and I don't know. I thought it turned out really well at the time. Looking at it now, I mean, it looks fine. I gave her huge eyes, and but it's alright. Speaking of this one, I remember when I first started looking for a job, just sort of a little side like story. When I first started looking for a job, one of the places I applied to was Old Navy, I think. It was a group interview, which I thought was really weird, but they asked me to bring something that represented me, like an object or whatever, and I brought my sketchbook and I showed them this one. And, you know, everyone was kind of like, oh, that's cool, you know, kind of impressed or whatever. But anyway, just a little side story. This kind of goes back to KatSketch, who would come up, she would sometimes take an idea or a person and sort of transform them into like, sort of her dark, twisted, like, way of drawing and like, way of making art. So I sort of did something like this. This was like supposed to be like the family of Honey Boo Boo, and like the idea was like, what if they were like in a zombie apocalypse or whatever? So you have like, I think her name was Alana, right? The like little girl. So you have her like in her pageant dress or whatever, and she has like bullets across her chest, like holding them, and then you have the mom in the background giving the finger with like a little, what is that called, a flail? That spiky thing. And then there were supposed to be like the other family members, but I just never got to it, so that's what that is. More doodles. So when I started, when I did this, I want to say I was watching people who did graffiti, not necessarily professionally, but like maybe like teenagers or, you know, young adults who were like, you know, maybe not well known, or maybe they're just like getting started with graffiti. And a lot of times what they would do is they would take those free mailing stickers from like the post office, because you could, you know, basically, I think you can even order them online too and they're free, but they would take those and they would draw their like graffiti on it, and then they would like trade them with other graffiti YouTube artists, which I thought was pretty cool. So I wanted to sort of try my hand at graffiti, like a graffiti sort of style, but that didn't work either. A random guy. Alrighty, and here, a random doodle and a piece of notebook thingy. More doodles. I want to say this was from a reference though, probably on Pinterest. Did this on Halloween apparently. Not entirely sure what this is. This is supposed to be, I guess, like a bush or something. I actually kind of like this, you know, looking at it now. I like the sort of texture I gave to it. I don't know. Good job, me. Good job. Random doodles here. And so thinking about this now, I want to say that this is the time in the sketchbook where I moved back in with my dad. At the time, I was living with my mom in El Paso, and that's where I went to high school and everything. And then I moved back with my dad in Dallas after I graduated. So from here on out, this is all like when I moved back, and this was in 2012. I think this was like a superhero concept. I think I might have like used myself as like a base, and I was like coming up with like a different superpower stuff. I don't know. A lot of doodles. This is just something I did. I remember I did this one day. It was just, I was bored out of my mind. When I moved back with my dad, he didn't have cable, or like, when I moved back with my dad, there wasn't any like sort of internet or cable, so I kind of had to rely on drawing to sort of entertain myself, because for like the first few months I was just bored out of my mind. But yeah, so I did that. I also did, let's see. I did this little doodle. He's not supposed to be anyone specific, but it's kind of based off the Invader Zim sort of style. And then I drew this little ghost, and this one is actually supposed to be from a YouTube artist called Imamachinist, I think is his name. But he does a lot of cool like acrylic painting for a band, and he does like a lot of cool like alternative art. So I'll leave a link to his channel below. And if you guys watched my previous sketchbook tour, these two characters were actually from a project from the video game Little Big Planet. I won't go too much into it, but basically that's where, you know, these two characters are from. I guess I wanted to just redraw them again. And little dude down here. Oh, I did another one of these things where I just kind of filled up the page. This sort of thing. I want to say this was from a dream, which I know sounds kind of creepy, but like, I want to say the dream was about like zombies or monsters or something like that, and I think because I was trying to like remember my dream, even though I didn't really remember all too much, I sort of came up with this dude. He kind of looks like Slender Man, and maybe that's why I made him look that way, I don't know. Anyway. This is like more DIY stuff, I think. I thought about, you know, painting shoes with different patterns on the side. Oops, if you can see it. So like chevron, stars, like a floral damask type thing. Hopefully you guys can see it. I know I did all of this in pencil, but there's like a necklace made out of those like studs that you usually find on like belts and stuff. There's like a gun shell bracelet where you take the little metal bits from bullets and you know, make a bracelet out of it. a camo jacket, I don't know, all sorts of stuff. This was supposed to be like another outfit I designed for myself. I think I tried to do this, like this type of, these types of pants where like there's stars on one side and stripes on the other. But here you can see I'm drawing Uber Haxer Nova, or just Nova if that's how you know him. But he was part of the creatures as well, way back in the day. And I really liked, you know, watching his stuff. It's very funny, entertaining to me. So I was just drawing him and his dog Ein, and then more of that little character from the Little Big Planet thing. I kind of grew fond of this little character, and I tried to make him more into like my sort of mascot, I guess, but I never really did anything with him. Oh, here we go. And oddly enough, speaking of KatSketch, this is sort of what she looks like. I think I was trying to draw every single day, at least trying to practice, you know, doing that. So I have, you know, a couple of doodles here. Some of them are going to be kind of personal, but, you know, I'll kind of walk you through it, I guess. But I have one here that has like a bird cage, and like it's supposed to be a brain and like ideas, I guess. Like they're random shapes and like scribbles, but they're supposed to represent ideas. And the title of the drawing was Safety is Poison. And I think this was just because at the time I was, again, living with my dad, and I was trying to find a job, and finding a job at that time was really difficult for me. I just, for whatever reason, couldn't find someone that was hiring. And so I was at home a lot, which would have been fine, but after being at home for a certain amount of time, it started to sort of take its toll on me, sort of mentally. And I started to get really depressed, and you know, I was just inside of my head a lot. And so this was also from a KatSketch video. I think she drew herself, but she drew herself with words that she, you know, words that sort of hurt her, like things maybe that she's been called, like when she's been bullied or stuff like that. But for me, I took that and I used the word fear a lot, just because I had a lot of doubts about, you know, where my art was going and where I was going just in life in general, because again, at the time, I'm still trying to find a job. So there was a lot of fear coming from different places and different avenues, but anyway, that's what like this one was inspired from. And on a lighter note, you have Vanellope and Mitch, both from movies, Wreck-It Ralph and then Paranorman. And then this might have been like sort of a self-confidence thing, because it says it's not always pretty, and I drew myself sort of in a morphed face where I took a picture where I thought I looked really good, and I took a picture of when I thought I looked, you know, kind of gross. More of this little character. I tried to give him a name, but I couldn't think of one. Again, I don't really think I would do anything with this character now, but I was trying to come up with something at the time. And then I had, you know, jewelry ideas. I won't go too much into them. You guys can kind of hopefully see all of them, and you can pause the video and read them if you want. Grumpy Cat. Oops, that weird girl from, what's the name? Frankenweenie, whatever it is. I tried to draw Sadie from the TV show Awkward. I talked about that show. She's like the antagonist, the bully, of like the high school. I think this was from a Kesha song, and I tried to just sort of visualize it in a drawing. Oops. And again, because I was reading a series of unfortunate events, I drew the characters, but from the movie, because I really liked the movie. Regular show, Gumball. This was actually from, yeah, you can even see, thank God I put the name, but I guess Dai Kawaii. This was one of the crafting channels that I guess I followed, and she made these really cool, like they were really badass, like they were made out of polymer clay, but they were these really creepy cookies where they had these like faces, they had teeth. I mean, they were really cool. Drawing hands. I drew a firefly for whatever reason, and some random dude. We probably went to go see Avengers or some sort of Marvel movie, because I drew Iron Man. The Powerpuff Girls, sort of in my style. let's see, Ellen Page. I drew my Pokemon team from Diamond and Pearl. At least the 4 Pokemon that I used at the time. I still had 2 slots open, but I don't think I had any Pokemon that I really wanted to like join the team permanently yet. Let's see. And we're kind of nearing the end, sort of. I mean, I feel like I still have a lot of pages, but you can kind of see that at this point I'm sort of throwing everything I have at this sketchbook. I mean, there's a lot of frustration with it. I really wish I could remember exactly how I was feeling throughout the entire thing and, you know, where I was at the time, but because this one's so old, this one's like, you know, years old. Let's see what it's probably like an 8-year-old sketchbook, I think. But anyway, so random doodles. I think more trying to work with like graffiti. I'm trying to, you know, work with color. I think this is a point where I'm starting to work with color now. I think I did this from reference and then I just tried to color it. Same thing with this one. Just doing patterns and random crap all over it. Bless my heart with this drawing, you guys. This was supposed to be Ellen Page from Beyond Two Souls, that video game, and it does not look like her. It's so bad. It's so ugly. But this one, these two were me trying to sort of come up with a physical form for the sort of spirit that is attached to the character of Ellen Page in that video game. But I'm gonna go ahead and just skip this page because this has some just like personal stuff. I will say, I didn't mention this, but there have been pages that I've been skipping just because I used to use this sketchbook as a place to sort of write my thoughts and feelings down, almost like a diary in a sense. And I use this sketchbook as a place to sort of vent. So there are some pages that I skipped, but that's just because they have some personal, not my personal information, but my like personal feelings and all that stuff, and I would rather, you know, obviously keep that private. Anyway, so random doodles. This is IHAS Cupquake, another, you know, gaming channel I used to watch a lot. Random guy. This was supposed to be Blaine from Glee, and then I think there was a book that I read that said I should like sort of write down what I do each day, and you know, just to sort of keep track of everything. I don't know. I honestly don't remember. I just remember reading something that was like, yeah, you should, you know, write down what you're doing every day. That way you can see, I guess, how you're progressing or whatever. I don't know. But so I tried doing that. I had some shirt ideas that I wanted to do. This was, again, you can tell I was really into the crafting scene because I have Chapeau here. He was like my favorite character. I don't know, I thought he was a cute little bunny thing. I can't remember where I got this style from. It might have been from this artist, Ninatuka, I guess. I don't know if that's still her name. If I can find her again, I'll leave a link to her page or her social media as well. I want to say that's where these two came from her style of drawing, and I try to replicate it, I think, in these next few pages as well. I really just thought it was sort of a cute style, but I don't really stick to it all too much. This is me way back when trying to figure out like how to use my camera to make YouTube videos and just sort of the pros and cons of things. It looks like places that I can get materials, I don't know, just different things. I really wanted to make a YouTube channel, and the fact that I'm doing this now is sort of amazing to me. This was supposed to be like a drawing of my room at the time at my dad's house, and then this was another graffiti thing. I guess this guy named was Simo, I think that was his name, who made this like little character. And then for these things, I don't know, I feel like I'm about to talk a lot about all of this. So these are the creatures, and this is actually when I found out that Nendoroids were a thing. I never knew like what they were, but then I found out that they were like these little like Japanese, you know, posable action figure type things that were like anime looking, and I thought this was such a cool idea. And because I was into like the crafting scene and everything, I thought about making the creatures, you know, these people who are in this gaming channel, I thought about making them into their own sort of Nendroids. It wouldn't really, they wouldn't really look like Nendroids, and they wouldn't really like be posable like them. They were just supposed to be these little sort of like statues, like little figures. And I wanted to add a lot of different elements from different video games that they've played, some sort of like inside jokes that only people who watch their channels would get, all that stuff. So I did Seamus, Nova, oops. I did Sly Fox Hound, Kutra, Immortal HD, and sorry if I'm going through these really fast, it's just I feel like I could spend a lot of time talking about all of them, but I just kind of want to move on, you know? And then Dan's News, and then you have Z-Royal Viking, and then I'm also thinking of other YouTubers that I could have made into those little figure things. Continuing on with that, I do have iHas Cupquake, and I started to work on Chilled Chaos as well. But I think that's as far as it went. More Doodles. And then here's the part where it's sort of, it turned into like a bigger project. Because all of these people that I was drawing were video game channels, I thought it might be interesting if maybe I made like an animation, like sort of like an old school fighting game, like kind of like Street Fighter, how you have like the two characters on the side and then they sort of fight each other. And basically whoever the winner was at the end of that video was going to be the one, it was going to be the sort of little statue thing that I revealed. Again, this was a whole thing, like I had this all planned out. I never made those statue things, by the way, but I mean, you know, in the back of my mind, you know, I had already done all of that. I'm like building up this project as like to be this whole spectacle. So everything was going to be like old school, like 16-bit. I was going to do the pixel art and the animations for the pixel art. The characters, I actually made the creatures into pixel art, and I'll see if I can share those because those are the ones that I'm really proud of, and that's like the artwork that I can share with you guys. It's like the only artwork I have of that specific project. But yeah, I was going to go all out. I was going to make animations, I was going to try and make music for it. It was going to be this whole thing, but it just never really happened, obviously. I think it was a much bigger project. Random drawings, these are the characters from Awkward, all of the like main characters, and the idea was that, again, because I'm into the crafting thing and polymer clay, I actually wanted to make each character. I actually almost did make Jenna. I think I still have the like sample that I made of this one, and I'll see if I can, and I'll put a picture up and share that with you. It's gonna look really creepy, by the way, so I'm sorry in advance because I tried my best, but it's basically just like the body and the cast. I think I actually took these and redid them digitally, and I'll put that up as well. This is more pen stuff, working more with pen. More random doodles, Rafiki, for whatever reason. I tried to draw Ed, Edd and Eddy realistically, but it didn't work out. This is supposed to be sort of like the idea of like the awkward charms, but these are the characters of Scott Pilgrim. So you have Scott Pilgrim, Ramona, and then all of the X's. And here, this is, I think here I'm getting frustrated because I'm coming, you know, I have the scratchy lines, and it's, usually whenever I draw like this or whenever I see drawings like this, I can usually tell that I was very frustrated. I don't know if you guys get like this sometimes, but you know, sometimes when you're drawing and it's not turning out like how you want it right away, you get, you know, kind of tense. You start maybe gripping the pencil or the pen or whatever really tightly, and you're just kind of just going for it. Here, random doodles again. A lot of, I don't know what all this is. Let's see, I have Gumball, trying to draw him. And then I have more, I guess, figure studies. I clearly didn't like this drawing. Again, getting upset. Yeah, these lines are there's a lot of energy to them, really, but I mean, it's just, I kind of vaguely remember doing these, and just drawing the human body can sometimes just be the world's most frustrating thing. Whatever this is over here, more figure study stuff. More doodles. I have Elizabeth from Bioshock Infinite. I don't know what all this other crap is, though. I feel like, I don't remember who this artist was, but I think I tried to replicate their eyes a little bit. This was their artwork, and then I tried to redo it here, it looks like, I want to say. I don't know. And then we have this over here. And again, like I said, you can see that I'm throwing everything I have at this, so there isn't one consistent style. I still don't have a style. But again, this is a weird obsession of just style. This is all that this is. And then here, I vaguely remember this one too, but this was sort of like a dream that I had where there was like these weird like fantasy creatures, and then there was like these like two main characters. I don't know, but I tried to sort of recreate what my dream was sort of about. Oh, you guys, we're getting towards the end. Oh god, we're getting close. So, random monster looking thing. I have no idea what this is. Trying to draw someone who looks scared. This is the thing about, I don't know, you can see there's like smudging going on. That's because of the paper itself. It's smudging the graphite everywhere. And then here, this was just a pen drawing that I did. I was really surprised by how it came out, by the way. I mean, the fact that I could do something like this in pen, I don't know if I could do this again. But it turned out pretty cool, in my opinion. This is probably when like Minecraft was still big. You know, people were making like cool forts and everything. So that's what that was. And, oh, is that it? I think that's it. I had 2 pages left. I guess 1 page. But you guys, that's gonna be about it for this one. And I'm really glad that I get to share it with you guys. I feel like this one is a really good example of, I guess, what I would expect someone's sketchbook to look like. In my opinion, I feel like when I watch a lot of sketchbook videos, it's a lot of really pretty drawings, and you know, which is fine. I mean, if that's the way that people draw, then that's all good. But for me, it's never really been like that. It's always been a bunch of ugly, random crap that I draw in my sketchbooks, and I don't know. I hope this one makes you feel a little bit better about the way that you draw, or maybe where you are in your art journey. But if you guys have any questions for me, or if you want me to maybe elaborate on anything that you saw in here, just let me know in the comments down below. And real quick, I want to give a shout out to the people who have subscribed to me recently. When I posted my last video of the Draw This in Your Style challenge, I noticed that I actually gained a few subscribers. I think maybe around like 4 or 5, which was insane to me. So to anyone who subscribed recently, or anyone who subscribed at all, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. It just feels good knowing that you guys are interested in, you know, the things that I'm doing and the things that I'm making. But anyway, I just wanted to take a moment to thank anyone out there who's watching and who has subscribed. So on that note, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys! Thank you so much for watching. I post new art videos every other Wednesday, so consider subscribing to the channel by clicking my logo on the screen or the subscribe button down below. If you'd like to further support this channel and me, you can buy me a Ko-fi in the link below, and anyone who donates gets a shout out at the end of my videos. Thanks guys!